the computer. Okay. Now share. Okay. So uh, eh, we were in, I think we were starting this page, this
Yes,
paragraph is correct?
yes, yes.
Okay. So this paragraph go through here. Okay,
Since it's a long one, maybe we could break it into two sections.
Just read it. Let's read the one time and see what happened, Marianne. Okay? And and then we will find if we need to. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, Marianne, just if you don't mind to start reading.
So your thought is to go through the italicized piece?
To
No, just to the, just maybe before, to the realized humanness.
Okay.
Where
All
were
right.
we?
Geneviève Leloup's inspired approach to the Gospel of Philip is articulated in the opening pages of his introduction. It is not my intention, he writes, to set the canonical and the apocryphal Gospels against each other, nor privilege one over the others. My aim is to read them together, to hold the manifest together with the hidden, the allowed with the forbidden, the conscious with the unconscious. The reconciling force of such an honest approach to this text, which open-heartedly examines subversive ideas with patience, humility, and respect, allows us to hear the way Yeshua speaks of the meaning of sacramental bread and wine, of the true and illusory human body, of the meaning of death and resurrection as stages on the path of inner work, of the purity of the Virgin as the immaculate and fertile silence, Parthenos, or void, within the human soul, or in what is bound to attract much attention in the way Jesus is allowed to speak about marriage and sexuality. There is a teaching here that is very deep and very high, and woe to us if we too hastily attach ourselves to one or another surface meaning of what is expressed in these pages. The text speaks of the sexual act in marriage as the Holy of Holies, and Geneviève Leloup offers wise and heartfelt reflections about the possible sexuality of Jesus himself in his fully realized humanness. And I will be right back. I left some water running.
we wait for you, okay?
Thank you.
We
You didn't need to do that. Thank you.
at the same time, anyway, at the same time, we find such passage as the following. Even the worldly embrace is a mystery. For more so, the embrace that incarnates the hidden union. It is not only a reality of the flesh, for there is silence in this embrace. It does not arise from impulse or desire, epithumia. It is an act of will. It is not of darkness, it is of light. And do you want to read for the second time?
Okay. Jean-Yves Leloup's inspired approach to the Gospel of Philip is articulated in the opening pages of his introduction. It is not my intention, he writes, to set the canonical and the apocryphal Gospels against each other, nor privilege one over the others. My aim is to read them together, to hold the manifest together with the hidden, the allowed and with the forbidden, the conscious with the unconscious. The reconciling force of such an honest approach to this text, which open-heartedly examines subversive ideas with patience, humility, and respect, allows us to hear the way Yeshua speaks of the meaning of sacramental bread and wine, of the true and illusory human body, of the meaning of death and resurrection as stages on the path of inner work, of the purity of the Virgin as the immaculate and fertile silence or void within Parthenos, or void within the human soul, or in what is bound to attract much attention in the way Jesus is allowed to speak about marriage and sexuality. There is a teaching here that is very deep and very high, and woe to us if we too hastily attach ourselves to one or the other surface meaning of what is expressed in these pages. The text speaks of the sexual act in marriage as the Holy of Holies, and Jean-Yves Leloup offers wise and heartfelt reflections about the possible sexuality of Jesus himself in his fully realized humanness.
I think you can continue.
At the same time,
At the same time, we find such passages as the following. Even the worldly embrace is a mystery, far more so the embrace that incarnates the hidden union. It is not only a reality of the flesh, for there is silence in this embrace. It does not arise from impulse or desire, epithumia. It is an act of will. It is not of darkness, it is of light.
just words or phrases or insights, whatever you feel that this paragraph is guiding us to continue our reading.
One of the things that really spoke to me is when he says, "It is not my intention," he writes, "to set the canonical and the apocryphal gospels against each other, nor privilege one over the others." That just strikes me as guidance about how we should be looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
That for sure we are planning to have so many things new for us, and probably we'll never had that kind of ideas about Jesus or about his followers or friends. So, and I think we need to have an open mind and to be able just uh, to prepare, ourselves in order just to receive, compare, and whatever comes from this opposite. So we'll take it. Okay, so I don't know, but I had that kind of thinking all this week that we are confronting something that probably my question is if I am prepared in order to just, or my conscious level is in, or if I am mature enough to be able to receive the message in the right way. That's the question I had this week. Anyway.
You all don't really know this about me, but the whole idea of Jesus being human and divine is very important. And I suspect that in some ways, what this is speaking to is that very idea of, Jesus himself and his fully realized humanness.
Well, I had, like Tilly, the same realization. And for me, it's like this text is going to lead me or to reveal me the real encounter of two bodies. But this encounter is cosmic. It's not for me so physical as a cosmic divine. I would say like an encounter of of opposites. If we are ready to encounter the opposites.
Or as Lilith says, to read them together, that is, the apocryphal Gospels with the canonical Gospels, to hold the manifest together with the hidden, the allowed with the forbidden, the conscious with the unconscious.
I would add the masculine and the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. I'm wondering if the true and illusory body, human body, might be a reference to what Cynthia develops as second body?
Mm.
I'm just wondering. I have no idea, but
I don't either. The word illusory suggests something to me which is an illusion.
yeah,
In
yeah.
other words, we're so accustomed to our human bodies. I've got my ankle problem and I've got a prescription for an orthotic now, which I have to follow up on. So that's what we take to be the real thing. That's my physical stuff. And the word illusory here means to me that there is so much more to me, to each one of us, if we would only have eyes wide open for seeing that.
Right.
I had the same experience as Marianne, but I took the true as the second body.
Ah.
The,
Oh,
I
perfect.
don't know.
Thank you. Yeah, I get it.
Sure.
I'm more used to the use of sublet body, that second body. And when I went to her book, um, she has like a 7 or 8 words meaning the same thing, and she had the sublet body too. So it's something that is our spiritual body, is our, because we only, our material body is just the bones, and then we have the energetic body, and then we have this solid body that is, um, well, we can see just in this way or in this way, but yes, it's true. Just
And it's interesting that they're both energetic, because we think of our very human flesh bodies as being something substantial, although, as we've some of us have said, we're getting older and find the creaks and pains of getting older, but we think of us as being something real, when what we know from physics is that we're all spinning energy systems, and everything that looks real is a manifestation to our eyes of something which is energetic. That's physicality is an energetic energy system, and we don't like to think of ourselves as being. We think of ourselves as being something rather than just spinning electrons.
yeah.
Mm.
Homeopathy, I don't know much about homeopathy, but homeopathy works with energy levels of particular substances, so that by doing different things to a substance, you can increase its energy level, so you need a whole lot less of it to become very potent in terms of healing. And standard medicine doesn't like to think about that. It might go ahead and think about electrons composing my skin, but it doesn't want to think about the fact that there are different kinds of energies that affect kinds of energies that affect my system and yours and all of us.
I can tell you that is, you know, the I am very sensitive to energy. Um, I don't know if you know that we have a lot different wavelengths in our brain, and in meditation we have certain kind of wavelengths, and um, I know that Pat used some apps just to get into meditation with very calm, but um, when I had to do a very repetitive task that is really boring, and and I had to do it, and sometimes take like 2 hours of manual work. I used the app for concentration, and whatever I do, I need 2 hours. I can do it just in less than half. Just and then the brain starts just oscillating in a certain way, and you feel like a wave, and you are totally centered in whatever you are doing.
Well, you know, the array that I was wearing on my head, I was connected to a machine that was plugged into the wall and also had batteries in it. So it was generating energy into my brain. And that was supposed to cause the cancer not to grow. So clearly, whatever they were treating me with was energy dependent. And Jamie and I decided not to do it anymore because it was so intrusive, and it was affecting our it was affecting us. We were, fighting with each other, and it wasn't working very well. And we decided that it might be better to stop the treatment.
Yeah.
Interesting, Tilly. It sounds like it was supposed to create positive energy inside your brain, but instead it was creating negative energy between you and Jamie.
Yeah, our quality of life had just hit the bottom.
Yeah. I wonder if that's everyone's experience.
I don't know. We're going to talk to the doctor about it tomorrow.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's continue with this paragraph that is very short. Okay. Barbara?
Sure. At this point, we may recall the oft-repeated warning of Jesus in both the canonical and the apocryphal Gospels. Let those who have ears to hear, hear. For at the very least, what seems to be spoken of here is the meaning of sexuality in its highly evolved, fully human form. Who among us is yet able to claim enduring access to such a quality of the fully human? So yeah, the end of that paragraph refers to that italicized part that was quoted. But it's always struck me that let those who have ears to hear, hear, which to me has always said Jesus is telling us that we have the capacity. The question is, will we use that capacity or not? But it's available to all of us if we only will use that capacity.
Probably, I mean, just
But I know, I
uh-huh,
was going to say that for me,
uh-huh.
with what Barbara said, for me, it becomes like a prayer to ask God to teach me how to hear, because there is something deeper that maybe I can't see or hear, but it's something in the hearing, something inside, because it's like I had wax in my ear and I can't go. So it's something deeper that needs to, when we, it's like vibration. What Tilly was talking about, what's going on in her head with this energy. I think this energy was creating something in vibration in her head, neural to something. And I think is that vibration, the hearing, or it's something that happens within. I've always all my life with that, with the ears to hear and the eyes to see. And what is it that I need to see that I don't see? Or what I need, yeah. And the part of the meaning of sexuality in its highest evolved, fully human form just took me to what I think it was Father Keating that he talked about, the Eucharistic sex, which was the total giving. And God gave all of him to us, all. It's a pouring. I think he was the one who used that term. This guy, I'm thinking if it's Richard or Thomas Keating, but I think it's Thomas Keating. And that's why his last years, the what he wrote was The Secret Embrace. There is something that has to do with this. I'm going back to Cynthia gave a talk on The Secret Embrace of what Thomas Keating wrote about.
This gives the title to that work, The Secret Embrace, a whole new meaning that I hadn't considered.
Cornelia, do you want just read the follow next paragraph?
Even on the purely theoretical or theological plane, Leloup's approach to this apocryphal material can produce entirely new currents of energy and understanding in our approach to the teachings and person of Jesus. The relevance of these texts is meant to go beyond their impact on our understanding of Christianity as a religion existing outside of ourselves. But what exactly is their relevance to our own personal lives now and here, to ourselves as we are and try to be? This is taking me like as if Christianity is really within the real Christianity, this understanding that it's not existing outside, but is within myself. And I like this part of the new currents of energy. Now that we're talking about energy, it's like something we're going to feel that. So it invites me to pay attention to those currents when we enter into the texts.
The paragraph says, don't read this stuff with your head only, because that doesn't mean anything. Read it with your heart so you can find if it's supposed to have some meaning for who we are.
Marianne, do you mind if we read the next paragraph?
Christian or not, we are all children of our era, and we have heard that truth is for all who seek it, whether in Christian terms, in the language of any of the other great spiritual traditions, or in the language of a new, authentic revelation of spiritual knowledge. Whether through the sacredness of nature as science reveals it to us, or simply through people, individual men and women, whose presence radiates the light of hope in the darkening night of our world.
And do you want to just read the paragraph again?
Christian or not, we are all children of our era, and we have heard the truth is all. We have heard that truth is for all who seek it, whether in Christian terms, in the language of any of the other great spiritual traditions, or in the language of a new, authentic revelation of spiritual knowledge, whether through the sacredness of nature as science reveals it to us, or simply through people, individual men and women, whose presence radiates the light of hope in the darkening night of the world.
I think it is talking about perennial tradition, perennial truth that we cannot rationalize. I mean, we cannot get it through our mind.
It again, for me, it's about energy, how it radiates the light of hope in the darkening night of our world. So there's something of radiating light of hope, of light, of this energy.
I like Cynthia's term, recognition energy. Years ago, I don't know how many, I mean, close to 20, not that many, somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago, I did a long stretch of doing hospital visiting with the Department of Pastoral Care at one of Worcester's hospitals with a dog, which gave some interesting opportunities. There was one man that I went in to see one day who was a retired philosophy, I think, but I'm not sure, professor from one of Worcester's colleges. And he was in his 80s, and I'm sure he is long, long gone. But walking into that room was one of these times of finding an individual man whose presence radiated the light of hope in the darkening night of our world. And I just knew that. We had this lovely, lovely talk, and it was just, I would love to have spent more time. I would love to have seen him every day. I was only there once a week, so I never saw him again. I would love to have been able to sort of sit at his feet and receive, because there was such a glow about the man. So I hope we all have that kind of experience from time to time. It's the first one that I met that way, I think.
Barbara, what do you think the impact of having the dog with you was to that experience?
With this man, none. With most people, I walked in as somebody who was not medical, and that opened up a relational possibility. For the man, the dog hadn't known him. It didn't matter.
I'm reminded here of Pam.
Mm.
Remember, she told us that when she was hospitalized unexpectedly, she was in the throes of completely losing autonomy, personal control. But she decided that she could be loving to everyone that cared for her, which I thought was such a beautiful recognition on her part.
Tilly,
Mm-hmm.
just the last paragraph.
Sure. Nearly every page of this translation can evoke intense self-questioning, offering directions of personal search for truth that are as profound as they are startlingly new and challenging. The words of Jesus stand to meet us there. Seek and ye shall find. Perhaps then the one real question we all can share and ponder is not whether to seek, but how to seek, how to discover and accept our own real need. I can think of no better platform from which to approach this powerful text in its fertile commentary. I'm
Are,
curious as how that strikes Cornelia, given what she has said about, seeking and finding and all.
Barbara, just read it for the second time, the paragraph.
Nearly every page of this translation can evoke intense self-questioning, offering directions of personal search for truth that are as profound as they are startlingly new and challenging. The words of Jesus stand to meet us there. Seek and ye shall find. Perhaps then the one real question we all can share and ponder is not whether to seek, but how to seek, how to discover and accept our own real need. I can think of no better platform from which to approach this powerful text and its fertile commentary.
Well, for me, there's another prayer before we start the text, which is before approaching every Wednesday, the new text that the new, what it's called, the plates, before to say, what is it that I need to discover and accept as my own real need in this text? Just to remind us
So that the experience of reading it opens up, so that it's not a matter of information that we're looking for at all, but it's a matter of trying to meet the text the way I met the man in the bed that day.
Right.
I like the way we have done this forward, because it has given me at least a new way of entering the text. It's like, for me, it's a preparation. It's not just, that's why when I started, because I don't know about you, but for me, the experience reading it, when we started reading the plates, I was a little bit lost. I was lost in those texts. I didn't, but now that they're helping me and when reading this, the forward, Jacob Needleman, it's like he's giving me some way to read it and some form to read it and some sacred approach to it. That in a way, what is helping me is preparing this ground with this, with a prayer, with whatever it gives us, to this new ground that we're going to find here.
Probably we need just we will be able to start the introduction. Just let's see. What will be our experience with the commentary by the author? Okay. Um, uh, it's okay to start with the introduction. I think just in that way we just start just going a little bit forward. Okay. So, Cornelia, just read the first paragraph.
The invention of the Gospels. When the cross upon which Christ was supposedly crucified was discovered by Empress Helena in Jerusalem, the phrase invention of the cross was used. In Latin, invenire means to be brought to light, to emerge. The original meaning of invention is a coming to light of what is already there. It is both a discovery and a return.
Marianne, do you want to read it just again?
When the cross upon which Christ was supposedly crucified was discovered by Empress Helena in Jerusalem, the phrase invention of the cross was used. In Latin, invenire means to be brought to light, to emerge. The original meaning of invention is a coming to light of what is already there. It is both a discovery and a return. I'm struck by the way this shifts my understanding of that word invention from something new to seeing what's already there, perhaps emergent in a new light, in a new context.
And I had the same thought, and I'm thinking a little bit of Thomas Edison. I mean, it was the 400th and something thing he tried as a filament before he got light. And he knew there had to be a way. He just had to keep looking to find it.
Is it for me like something that is coming from the future? The future is coming to me. And I don't know if the word return, it's part of that. it's there, but it returns.
Tilly, just read the next paragraph. We cannot hear you. You need to unmute.
In this sense, we might speak today of an invention of the Gospels, meaning those that were already there but lay in oblivion for many centuries, buried in the sands near Nag Hammadi in Upper Egypt. Might this rediscovery of forgotten Gospels beginning in 1945 also be an invention of Christianity? Might it be an occasion for a return to the sources of a tradition that is thought to have been aware of its own roots, but which in reality has been largely ignorant of them? Some would detect here a return of
Just wait, let's just only
Okay.
okay, just
Well, for me, again, this, I love this. It is buried in the sands, but it's in the way that I'm searching for something more. I'm searching. It's like starting to attract something. It's an opposite that is still there. It's there, and once I realize that I'm looking for that, this one starts to appear, to become light, and manifest, because that would be the word that I would use to bring me back to that part of the real Christianity, or the lost Christianity, as Jacob Needleman calls it.
So in this way, it's the lost Jesus that emerges.
Mm-hmm.
In our parish, we have a retired bishop as interim rector, and he started doing Bible study after church, about an hour's 45 minutes worth. His hope is always to get through things very quickly. His first effort took 20 weeks to get through 4 chapters of whatever we were working on at the time. And now we're doing the letters of John. And just started, we've done 3 weeks now on the introductory 4 verses of the first letter of John. And we've taken such a long time because people keep asking questions. But he would like us to see this as Christology being formed, because the early church didn't know how exactly to express who Jesus was. So this is part of the growth of the understanding that eventually will get codified a few centuries later with all of our creeds. And it's, I would describe him, I think I've described him this way before, as bishop in the solid old school. I've never asked him about any of this findings from Nag Hammadi. I can't believe he'd find them. I'm sure would have some sort of rational reason for why they're no good, because the church fought it out for the first 4 centuries before deciding who Jesus is. And he's got all the names of all of these heresies, and well, this heresy is actually a part of Docetism, and da 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 da. Anyway, so I'm enjoying the Gospel of Thomas, and I'm looking forward to this gospel because I can certainly understand of getting to a return to the sources of a tradition, because I think the Christian church, as we know it largely in the West, has gotten so far away from where Jesus was, so far away.
Well, this remembers me, I was in a group, a very small group. We were 4 or 5 with Richard. We were sitting, and I asked the question to Richard if it was possible if there could be a third Bible, not the original. I mean, not the original that we have read all our lives, but a new Bible. And he just stared. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no, but I think he just went with his head like this. And I think there's a time for a new Bible that includes all these Gospels.
We are not prepared. I mean, even just you need humanity need a level of consciousness higher, and we are just passing from one level to the other. We are just getting to our heart area, and in order just to get this, just is too much for humanity. I mean, even though I question
if they
myself.
allow it,
Yeah,
if they allow it, because I
mean,
think others
yeah,
don't allow it.
yeah. I think just the work that we are doing just is whatever we are doing. We are helping humanity to raise, okay, the level.
You know,
And I think just this is. I feel like this is our task at this moment. Anyway,
my experience of the church is that most people don't want to accept how people have interpreted what Jesus was trying to do because they don't like what they hear. You know, they don't, this is not who they want Jesus to be.
And it's not who they want to be.
Exactly.
It's too difficult. It's too challenging.
Right.
Well, I can say it with my brothers when I'm reading here in the farm, and sometimes I leave my books there. And what are you reading? And it says the Gospel of Thomas. Gospel of Thomas. There's no Gospel of Thomas. No, yes, it exists, and it's proven, and it's blah 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 blah. And he says, you and your text, you and your reading, that only you can do that. And I go inside and I say, yes, not you. Yeah.
We were at an ordination at the Abbey on Saturday, which was just phenomenally wonderful because there are parts of a service there where you know that, I shouldn't say you would all know, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and bodies to feel know that we're engaged in the larger church of all time. It was really wonderful. But, the Bishop of Worcester presided, and he's an old school, good Catholic bishop. And there's the note in the service bulletin that said, in effect, because we're the Catholic Church, we can only offer communion to those who are members, didn't put it this way, but of the in-group. And if you'd like to come up for communion, please and you're not a Catholic, please cross your hands across your chest so that I can give you a blessing instead. So Roll and I both went up and got blessed. And what a cursory blessing. I mean, as though the man had no heart that was put into it at all. At the end of everything, the new priest, who's got to be 65, one of the monks at the abbey, and I didn't know this tradition. I don't know if it happens in Episcopal Church or not, but it was quite wonderful. The new priest can bless people after he is ordained. And the first person he ordains is part of the liturgy. He blesses the bishop, which is kind of wonderful, I think. But anyway, at the end, there was this long line of people, and we wondered what on earth this is and learned that he was doing his first blessing. So I don't know, I was probably 20th in line or something, and the people who went for blessing tended to be his family and friends and so forth, people who were not members of the community by and large. And when he blessed me, his hands were on my head very lightly, but they felt like just vibrating, as though it was sort of, energetic kind of something there. And I asked Roll after, how was it for you? And he said it was just, his hands were there. So I did see Father Stephen after, and I said, I want you to know what happened when you were blessing me and how it felt to me. And he said he had no awareness of that at all, that sort of pulsation stuff. He said what he was aware of was praying for me as hard as he could. Now, that's all he said about that. And I said, yeah, that was we were in a kind of reciprocal relationship there, actually. I wasn't really praying for him, but I was just totally receiving this. And so there was this intense connection. And I thought, what a difference between the blessing of this new priest who put his heart and soul into praying for me, and this cursory thing when I went up for communion and the bishop made the sign of the cross, and that was sort of it. Yeah.
Total acceptance on the one part and really lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm insulted for you, Barbara.
Oh, don't be. I'm used to it. The bishop has this huge house. Now, he's the 5th bishop of Worcester. I have no idea when this house was acquired, but it's monstrous. And we drive past it on the way to Roll's mother's after church every Sunday. And it's there's a wall up from the road. It's on a hill, so there has to be a retaining wall keeping the hill in place. And growing around the edges of the property at the top of the wall are some plants that were planted. I doubt the bishop ever really pays any attention to his ground. But growing in there are these wild asters. So if you're from New England, the asters are blooming now and have been for quite some time. So these asters are about, 15 inches tall, and these very delicate blooms on the top, just all along the top of the wall. And I thought, Bishop, this is a reality here, and I hope that some place, I always talk to the bishop when I go by. This was Sunday's talk. Bishop, I hope that somewhere in your being you will let the wild asters that are there grow in your being and blossom the way they're blooming in your front yard.
My niece and her husband are both Missouri Synod Lutherans. which means I'm not really welcome there. My ordination is not really recognized. And I've been told by my nephew that we are not welcome at the table,
Oh,
which just makes me irate. But at any rate, it's clearly very important to the Missouri Synod that my nephew would make this point to us. But you know, that being denied welcome to the table just doesn't feel right to me.
It's pretty awful.
yeah.
Because we just imagine Jesus walking with his arms open.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, this is the redefinition of Jesus.
Right. So let's go back to roots somewhere.
Let's talk about the feeding of the 5,000.
I was so struck the very first wisdom school, the first time I met Cynthia in person, was at Glastonbury, just outside of Boston.
Ah,
And I don't know if it's still true, but the abbot at the time made clear that it was an open table.
right.
And those of us attending this wisdom school were welcome. And it really set the tone for me of that whole experience. I was so blown away by his generosity and his willingness to essentially defy his higher ups.
That's an interesting comment, Marianne. Having been part of that community, they do that, and it is a welcoming table. It absolutely is. But my dilemma with them, with the monks, is that they waffle on the higher ups and what comes down. They willingly kind of go along with some of the stuff. Yeah. What year was that?
I'm thinking it might have, I'm not sure, 2015, 2014.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been Thomas.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Tom O'Connor. Yeah. Yeah. And his persona, I don't know, just take it for what it meant to you. Forget my
Yes.
judgments.
Well, it really it does make a difference. And Tilly, I really understand how hurtful that is.
Yeah. It does
Yeah.
make a difference.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Well, and you know, I'm not eligible to baptize my nieces and nephews
Oh,
because I'm a woman.
God help.
And that is one of the things that's kind of hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And may they have wild asters growing around the edges of their.
Maybe I should get some when I go.
Yeah.
Actually, we have some growing in our front yard.
Are they purple?
They are. They're beautiful.
Yeah. There's another variety called Alma Potchki.
And very delicate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Ah. I miss my garden whenever people start talking about this.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll have another one next year. That's the beauty of gardens. Oh,
I think we are ready just to get 4:30. So probably just it's better just to stop here and for next time. Uh, I um, Cornelia, did you write down where we were? Oh, yeah, I know.
You're
Some,
muted.
Yes, I keep that.
okay.
I always post it in the, when I send
Okay.
the link.
Yeah, and yeah, I will continue. Probably just if I don't open the book during the week, next time when I open the book, the page is there. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, just
I've learned a lot with this way
yeah,
I know. I'm
that
loving
we're
doing
doing.
it this way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
thank
will.
you all. It's just terrific. The next few weeks post surgery, we'll have no excuse. He won't be able to go to work, so he'll be here.
Oh, good. On pain meds on next Wednesday.
He did really well in terms of pain before. No problem.
Oh, good. That's good.
And
Yeah.
why would he need an excuse? I mean, we're a lovely group of people.
Oh, I know.
No, exactly.
He doesn't need the reason he's not here is because he can't be here.
Right.
If he's able, he's here.
Right. Yeah.
When he's not here, it's because he's not able. But part of what's happened is that he and the monastery have really kind of fallen in love with each other, and by extension, so have I. And it's going to be a real with sort of withdrawal symptoms for a month of no contact. So when he started this job, he could get home, 1:30, 2 o'clock, and then it got to be 3, and then it got to be 3:30. And last week there was one day when he didn't get home till about 6.
Well, yeah, tell him we're wishing him a smooth and easy surgical procedure and recovery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
We're good to go. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And we're looking forward to seeing him and you next week, hopefully.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Okay. So everybody. So thank you for being together and just have a nice week.
Good.
Okay.
Thank
Same.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.